What is poppin', Team DWC? It's your boy TWP Popcorn. Not feeling good, so I'm not doing all that shit today. And excuse my language, because this is supposed to be a kid-friendly video. So y'all already know how I do these. Just go ahead and leave your like and comment on the last video, because you can't comment on this one. But for today, since I'm sick, I ain't gonna do all that stuff. So what we will do is go ahead and get straight back over to the video. In case you didn't know. Oh, loud. Love being sick. I'm gonna go in here and get this Theraflu ready, because Theraflu usually gets me through once I get this started.
Is a few memories that really stick out as some of the coolest and most memorable moments. One of those was harvesting my very first pomegranate from a tree that I grew from a little seed, and that seed came from a fruit that I bought at the store.
Oh.
There's something so rewarding about starting new life from a little seed that would have otherwise just been thrown away without even giving it a seed. And you don't have to look very far in your day-to-day life to find opportunities to grow some really amazing things. Sometimes you just have to look a little bit closer. So today we're going to go over 7 different plants you can grow from seeds, from fruits you buy at the store, and I'm going to show you the whole process of how to do it. So let's just get started with pomegranate. So I like to open the pomegranate up by lightly cutting down the ridges of the fruit all the way around, and then cutting off the top and bottom. And that way you can just pull them.
Yo, Daddy, Lambo. Oh. Come on.
Fruit apart, which keeps all the little beads or the arrows intact, instead of cutting through it with a knife and having juice go everywhere. So next, just go through and remove the flesh of a few seeds. I just gently chew it off and try and clean it up as best as I can. Deciding the seeds, one way is just to put them onto a moist paper towel and fold it up, and then put it into a sealed jar or a container and leave it somewhere warm for around 2 weeks. At this stage, they should be sprouting, and then you can just put them into some soil and keep them slightly moist as they adapt to living in the soil. Another way to start the seeds is just to direct sow them into some soil and leave them somewhere warm, keep them well watered, and they should start to sprout after about 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes they can take a little bit longer than that though, so be patient with them and you should have to get some little plants. In a warmer climate, pomegranates will be evergreen, but we are able to get it cold.
I accept it. I can't do nothing but it. Nothing but love for these streets, because the streets got love for me. Come on, Mufasa. Well, it's a good time as any to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Y'all don't leave a comment. Team DWC can't ever drop y'all off buckets because I don't know who y'all are until I come back to do my support stream.
Even just for the flowers and the ornamental values that they have. And the plants look really cool in autumn as well before they go dormant. Despite flowering for a few years prior, the tree
that don't want to open.
6 years old. And when growing pomegranates from seed, they don't grow fruit type, so fruit quality isn't guaranteed. But I was happy with how the fruit turned out. It had a nice flavour and a really nice smell. And the fruit wasn't smaller than the one you find at the store, but this could have also been because it was just the first fruit it used to produce. It's hard to say it could also be to its climate or soil. But either way, I reckon it's so cool to grow, and getting a fruit is such a rewarding feeling.
My Keith covered Fiskars to open this.
Next up is goji berries. I need different scrobium or trail mixes, mixing with other dried fruit and nuts. So they're just these little red berries there, and the reason you can't buy these is the fresh fruit.
Yeah, let's get it out of there. Shit, let my water get cold. Like I said, Theraflu. Every
These
time I'm
plants
sick,
bring
it
in
only
excellent
take
cold
usually
climate
one.
as well. They can handle really cold winter
That
temperatures,
knocks that
and
right
they're
up out
also
of you. They got
adjustable
my
as
first
well once the
endorsement.
plants
Shouts
are
out to our
grown.
video
There's a
sponsor.
couple of ways to get the seeds out of these. The first way is just to pull the berry open and scrape the seeds out, although it does take a while because the seeds are kind of stuck in the sticky pulp, and then you can clean the seeds by rubbing them into dirt under some water. The second way is much easier. You just need to soak a few berries in a glass of water for a few hours. I left mine in there overnight, and the fruit will swell up, and then you can just squeeze the seeds out of the fruit really easily. And I'm just putting these on a paper towel so that you can see under the camera, but you can literally just squeeze these straight up to the surface of the soil, off the pot that you're growing them in, and get started that way. I'm just sprinkling the seeds onto some seed
Ooh,
grading
that is
mix,
hot.
just going to very lightly
Careful,
cover
guys,
them up
careful.
and give them a bit of a spray with
Let
some
that
water.
water run and warm up.
Because I've made this a bit
Oh,
done, placing these on a
this
heat
just
mat
heats
and
your
then spraying
soul.
them with a clear lid just to help keep the surface of the soil moist. This should make a perfect environment
I
for soil
know
sprouts.
popcorn's on here,
After
not
about
drinking
9 days,
Mountain
this is how
Dew.
they look,
Go
and
ahead,
then
roast me in
usually
the
the fruit
comments.
starts sprouting, which is really fast, and there doesn't seem to be much of a difference between the seeds that I soaked in the
But
spring
just
and the
remember,
seeds that I
NFG
sprayed
channel
out
shoots
in the
back.
heat in the sieve. That's a really good level of germination overall, and I think using the heat mat has definitely helped with those seeds sprouting. So I'll leave a link down in the description of where you can get a heat mat from if you'd like, and I've definitely found them to be a really helpful tool when it comes to sprouting all sorts of different seeds. After another 5 weeks, they're putting on some good growth, so they're a nice healthy size plant. I'm just carefully splitting these up into their own individual pots and do my best to not damage the stems or the roots of the plants. So the goji berries did continue growing well, but unfortunately during the summer my turkeys went on a rampage into my shade house and they stripped all the leaves off most of the plants, they ripped them all out of the ground, and unfortunately I was only able to save a couple of them, so I was kind of gutted about that. But I'll start a new batch this spring and I'll keep the ones that I've got going. They grow like a long arching stem, and so some trellis is a good idea if you're growing these.
See,
And they
that's
can
why I
also be
keep
grown
telling
in
people I
containers,
don't
which is
have
pretty cool
extra
because the
animals
fruit
around me
doesn't
because
go into the
animals are
soil as
wild
well.
at
So
heart.
from seed, they can fruit after
They see
about
something
3
they
years
don't
if
like,
you
they
want to
gonna do
breed them.
whatever they
And I know
want.
one that really has goji berries on its
Ain't
plants,
nobody got time
which
for
they will
that.
grow really well from cuttings, and that's a great way to get started and get fruit a little bit sooner than if you were to grow them from seed. So this right here is an awesome dragon fruit plant that I started from seed, and I'm so
But as you guys know, I do like to actually just garden and not just grow my own medicine. So from time to time, I'll do videos like this. If y'all paying attention to what's in my review list, y'all see what's coming up. But don't worry about all that. Y'all just stay over here whenever it loads on this screen. So, y'all don't get too far ahead into
stay
what
stoked with
Team
how this looking.
DWC
I
will
reckon
be
these are
talking
some
about.
amazing looking plants, and these are a type of climbing cactus. I do like to climb, which is why I've got the structure here for it. These can take around 5 to 7 years to fruit if you start from seed, so quite a while. Unless you decide to graft your little seedlings,
5 to 7 years
maybe go
before
into
it starts
depth
to
about that
fruit.
if you want to learn more. And then
That's
you could get
commitment.
fruit in as soon as
I
like
got to start one
4 months.
right
You
now.
can also grow these from cuttings really easily as well, but I know not everyone can get their hands on cuttings. I wanted to show you how you can grow your own dragon fruits from seed and get some beautiful plants like what I've got here. So there's a few methods I use to get these started from seeds, but first you need to get the seeds out of the fruit. And if you've never had these are just the coolest looking fruit. But I just take a small bit of flesh and push it through a sieve until you've got all the seeds separated and clean. And you can just leave them out to dry on a paper towel or some baking paper if you like, and then just lightly sprinkle the seeds onto some seed raising mix. And I'm just using another pot with some soil in it and just lightly shaking it over to spread a thin layer of soil over the seeds. Now you just need to leave them somewhere warm with a good amount of light. Make sure the soil doesn't dry out while they're sprouting, so it can help to cover the pot with a clear lid to keep the warmth and moisture. If you're someone that forgets to water your seeds, the second method of sprouting dragon fruit seeds might work better for you. All you need to do is just submerge some seeds in a cup of water and leave them in a bright and warm spot, like on your kitchen bench or something. You can even put them on a heat mat. And as long as it's warm enough, the seeds should be sprouting after 1 to 2 weeks. And with something like this, and then you can just pour them onto some soil and carefully plant them with a toothpick. Whichever way you choose to sprout them, when they're a month old, they should look something like this, with just their two little cotyledons or seedlings. At this stage, they look nothing like a cactus at all, but before long, they grow the spiky stems from the middle. And although these are a cactus, they're a type of jungle cacti, so they do like to be watered more frequently than many other types of cacti. When my ones were a year old, this is how they looked here, and ideally I wouldn't plant them this densely again because you just end up with a tangled mess and it's kind of hard to manage. So it's best to have them growing up a trellis at this stage, and that way you can keep on top of trimming the side growth of the plants while they climb to the top. So what I'm going to do next is just add a branch along the top, and then once I clip the tip of the cactus, once it reaches the top, it can then kind of branch out and hang down over the top, and those branches or parts of the cactus that hang down is where the fruit and flowers are going to form. And this is the end of winter right now, and I've just had it growing under the eaves of my house, and although we get frost here and a lot of rain, if I had to get under here, it's protected from too much rain, too much frost, and all that kind of thing. So once it starts to warm up, these really take off and grow quite rapidly. The other thing to know about dragon fruits is that they don't always grow true to type, which is pretty common with a lot of fruits that you start from seed. So it's not to say that the fruits that you get in the end will be worse than the one you started with. There's always a chance it could be better, or it might just be different in some way. So I reckon that's all part of the fun of fruit.
All part of the fun of growing was what he was trying to say. But since we growing, let's talk about how we growing while we waiting on that to come back. If y'all remember, I made that YouTube short on hitting 306. So let's see how bad they done did me all week. Because they done did me bad.
Growing something from seed,
They did me
like
bad.
dragon fruits, because they do cross pollinate with other varieties, and you don't really know what you're going to get until you get to try the fruit. And the good thing about growing it yourself is you can actually pick the fruits when they're properly ripe. Sometimes the ones you buy at the store are picked way too early, which is a common reason why the flavour is kind of a bit bland and not that nice. So hopefully when you grow at home, if you let it fully ripen, will still be really nice. So the next time we're looking at is peanuts, and these are obviously not a fruit, and they're not a nut either. They're a type of legume, and they're a lot of fun to grow. They're really fascinating plants, so I thought we'd cover this one today. So what you want to do is pick up some natural raw peanuts. You can either get the ones in the peanut shells, or just use ones like what I've got here. Just make sure they're not salted or roasted. I've had success sprouting them in two different ways. The first way is by direct sowing some potting soil, and these do need fairly warm temperatures to sprout. The seeds can rot if you keep them too wet, so it's best to use the soil that drains quite well. You should start seeing still growing fairly slowly for their age. In a tropical climate, which is not what we have here, these will grow extreme.
No, that's not where we were. We were at 7 and some change. So let's go back to there.
You get to try the fruit. And the good thing about growing it yourself is you can actually pick the fruits when they're properly ripe. Sometimes the ones you buy at the store are picked way too early, which is a common reason why the flavour is kind of a bit bland and not that nice. So hopefully when you grow at home, if you let it fully ripen, it will still be really nice. So the next time we're looking at is peanuts, and these are obviously not a fruit, and they're not a nut either. They're a type of legume, and they're a lot of fun to grow. They're really fascinating plants, so I thought we'd cover this one today. So what you want to do is pick up some natural raw peanuts. You can either get the ones in the peanut shells, or just use ones like what I've got here. Just make sure they're not salted or roasted. I've had success sprouting them in two different ways. So the first way is by direct sowing some potting soil, and these do need fairly warm temperatures to sprout. The seeds can rot if you get them too wet, so it's best to use the soil that drains quite well. You should start seeing them sprout within a couple of weeks, and this is how mine were looking at a month old. So the speed that they grow will kind of depend on how warm it is. I've also had success sprouting these on a moist paper towel, but do make sure that you squeeze out most of the water. You only really need it to be very slightly moist. Too much moisture in the paper towel will cause them to grow mold, so also don't soak the peanuts first or anything. Just put them in as they are and then fold them up and place them into a sealed container. After 5 days, they should have started to grow and sprouted some decent roots, and then you can just plant them in some soil and water them in. And after another 10 days, so 2 weeks total, you should have yourself some little peanut plants. Peanuts grow well in fairly loose sandy soils that are rich in organic matter, and they need quite a long season of warm weather to grow and mature, usually around 5 months of warm weather. And you can also grow these in a nice wide container if you like. If you've never seen how the actual pig.
Oh, for those who aren't paying attention, thank you, phone. I just needed you to ring while I was talking. Best supporter ever. My notifications. Anyways, like I was saying, if y'all ain't noticed, I'm trying to pay attention and learn a few more plants that I can grow so I can actually show plants and growing in deep water culture versus getting to the point where I don't make videos showing any of my current plants because, they're right back here in the tent. locked up in YouTube jail. I need 100 likes on this video to show them in my next one. But, that's neither here nor there. So if we make it by Sunday, you'll be entered into the drawing to get the 100 likes per video giveaway, which if you haven't checked out my Instagram, y'all slipping because I put it on there. And those who haven't heard it, I'm pretty sure I got to say it more than once, but I'm not the type to repeat myself. So the people that know, they will know. And the people that don't find out, you'll find out some point in time. So like I said, if y'all ain't linked in, hitting the bell to all after you subscribe, hit up the Instagram because that's where I put that type of information is on the Instagram because, my social media has to all work together because that's how I network with myself. So if y'all networking and rocking with me, like I said, it's a 100 like giveaway. So every time a video hits 100 likes, it gets entered into the top 3 videos for 100 likes giveaway. So after the third video hits its 100 like mark, the 3 videos with 100 likes at a time. So I'm doing 3 at a time. Get the first, second, and third place prize. You see what I'm saying? I'll detail more of that whenever we go into it on a giveaway. But like I said, for now, y'all just got to check out the Instagram so y'all can get them details, baby. If you don't want them details, don't ask me how to get in the giveaway. I'm going to just ignore y'all.
The mind a little bit. I know it is for me. So first I produce these little yellow flowers which can actually pollinate themselves completely independently without needing insects or wind. And once the flower is fertilized, the stem of the flower with the ovary on the tip elongates to become an egg, which then dives head first into the soil and then grows and forms into a peanut. Really fascinating stuff. Once these are ready to pick, you can pull the whole plant out and hang it up and allow the peanuts to dry. And my plant ended up getting kind of shaded out and neglected in the end, so they didn't really thrive. But it was still cool being able to harvest.
Well, it might not be DWC. I might just have to grow those in just cocoa.
Tomatoes or tree tomatoes are a fruit native to South America, and they grow in a really fast-growing tree. They can fruit from seed in about 1.5 to 2 years. And these are a little bit harder to find in stores at times. They are usually only available seasonally, so do keep an eye out for these. If you've never seen on the inside, cut one open, and you can see how incredible these look. For growing tomatoes, I just put a bit of the seeds through a sieve to clean them off as best as I can. It doesn't really clean them off very well, but that's totally fine. And then I just dry the seeds off on a paper towel or baking paper. Now I'm just taking the seeds and sprinkling them onto some moist soil, lightly covering them, and then placing them somewhere warm. And again, I'm just covering these with a plastic lid to keep the moisture and warmth in. After 5 weeks, they're looking nice and healthy, and we seem to have had a good germination rate as well, which is awesome. So now's a good time to transplant these into your own pots. And it's a bit like tomatoes, where it's best to handle them from their leaves as opposed to holding the really fragile stem. At 3.5 months old, these have developed some good root systems, so I decided to upsize the pots again, and I'm just using a good quality potting mix and putting a bit of mulch on the top to protect the surface roots because these are quite drought sensitive plants. Unfortunately, these trees have been getting damaged from pests like caterpillars, which I've since picked off, and I've also blasted the leaves with water because they have quite a lot of whiteflies on them, which seem to be attracted to these plants. And now I'm just spraying the leaves with neem oil to try and get rid of them fully, and I find this usually works pretty well after doing it a couple of times.
See, this is why I don't like outside gardening. Too many bugs and shit. Bugs can come inside too, but Team DWC, we don't have any. Most of the environmental conditions that pests want to have present to pay rent. Ain't no deposits over here. Our application fees, 3 months rent, non-refundable. Non-refundable.
So here I've got a PG and a red papaya, and these are pretty easy to get going from seed. This one looks like it's not fully ripe, unfortunately, but let's take some of the seeds out anyway and we'll clean these off. So they sort of have like this capsule of jelly around the seeds that stops them from sprouting within the fruit. So I'm just rubbing the seeds on a paper towel to remove the jelly sac from around the seeds. Next, I'm just placing these seeds onto some moist potting soil, and I'm just doing 4 seeds per pot because they are fresh seeds, so they should sprout pretty reliably. If you want though, you can put way more seeds in and then just put them out later by cutting them off at the base. So So now that I've covered the seeds over and watered them, I'm placing these on a heat mat as well to speed up the germination. And I'm also placing a plastic container
My
over the
guy
top
got like 30
so that
heat
these can
mats. He
start
must have got them on discount.
these took about 2 weeks to
That
start
reminds me
growing.
whenever I set up
They
my
grew
Amazon
really
Prime.
well, and 3 out of
If
the 4
y'all ain't
little
using me
fruits
for my
sprouted
discount, I
really
don't know
well.
what y'all
And
gonna
these are
do.
just their little seedlings, so
But
these
you know,
will start
once the
growing and truly,
affiliate
and
marketing
they
with
look really
Amazon
good.
kicks
People
in,
especially once they
that
grow.
link in the
And
description
it
is gonna
definitely
be
comes with like a
fire. If
unique
you fuck
look.
with your boy,
And
you
for
better fuck
obviously
with your
you
boy,
plants
because
that
I'm
will
gonna
get
get you
sprouts in
10%.
the house, really happy
At
with that.
least off of
And the
everything I
nice
can find for
germination
y'all to
ones
buy
will
that we
be using
need.
your own compost. From what I've heard, these don't mind
10%.
a
You
lot of
see what I'm
fruit
saying? If it
together,
costs
and
500,
taking a bit of soil with each
you
plant
spend
so no damage
450.
not damage the root. I'm planning just to keep these in pots for now because the pots require are tropical plants, so they can't handle the frost and cold
I'm gonna shoot for
temperatures
y'all to
that we
get
get.
y'all
So I
15 so I
also
can get
spread
my
these
15.
inside during the winter to keep them protected. So this is how the papaya trees are looking now, and they're still growing fairly slowly for their age. In a tropical climate, which is not what we have here, these will grow extremely fast and can fruit from seed in less than a year, which is pretty awesome. They just need lots of warmth, lots of sun, really good free draining soil, and lots of water as well. But here I've just had these sheltered inside during the winter. Obviously they haven't had a huge amount of sun. So that's totally cool. You know, if you don't live somewhere tropical, then there's nothing stopping you growing these as a beautiful little indoor tree, or you could potentially grow them to maturity in a greenhouse and see how you do with that. If you want to grow these actually for the fruit, do just make sure you grow multiple plants though, because you get male plants and female plants, and you need at least one of each in order for cross pollination. Sometimes you will get a hermaphrodite, which will have both male and female flowers on the same plant. But yeah, it's just a good idea to grow multiple plants so that you can make sure you get that cross pollination, therefore creating a beautiful tasting papaya.
Mm.
Kiwi fruit vines are pretty easy to get started from seed, and from what I've read, they take at least 3 to 5 years to start producing fruit. I'm going to be growing these red fish kiwi fruit, which look really cool and they have a slight berry flavour to them. Just like many of the other fruits we started, we're just extracting the seeds in a sieve and then getting a pot of moist soil and scattering the seeds on the surface. And after lightly covering them with some soil, I'm just giving them a spray with some water to avoid displacing the seeds too much. I'm putting these in a nice warm spot to germinate and just covering these with a lid as well just to help keep that surface soil nice and moist. After 5 weeks, these should be sprouting, and I find these seeds to sprout really reliably, so you don't need to sow as many seeds as I did here. But if you do have this many, you can always thin them out to reduce the competition. I found these don't do too well if you transplant them at this size, so it'd be best to just thin them out a bit and wait till they get their first true leaves before you then transplant them. I accidentally killed my first batch of tiny seedlings by leaving them in the cold, but these ones here are a new batch that I started, and at this stage they're 7 months old and looking really nice. You do need to grow quite a few of these plants to get fruit because each plant is either male or female. They need at least one of each in order to get fruit. In winter, these lose their leaves and become dormant, and at that stage they can handle quite cold winter frost, but they do need some protection from frost in the spring and the autumn. Kiwi fruit are quite a large binding plant, so they do need something to grow up, and they need a decent amount of space. And as well as that, they need good protection from wind, and they do best in well-drained, fertile soils with good amounts of moisture year-round, particularly in the summer when it's a bit drier. They don't grow true to type, so the fruit you get might be a bit different to the one you started with, although you should still get a nice tasting fruit. And otherwise, if you do have access to a particular variety, you can always graft that variety onto your seedlings to get the variety that you want. For me, growing fruits from seed has been more than just the end result of getting a cool plant or tasting its fruit. You know, from doing this, I've learned so much more about plants and, you know, different ways you can start seeds, different growing requirements for each plant. And I've also learned how to graft fruit trees now, which is really cool. And my passion for growing plants and growing my own food really did just start from the tiny little seed and the curiosity I had about it. So, what are you going to grow today?
All right, Team DWC. What I was going to link in with this is a little bit too inappropriate for it to be kid friendly. So, with that being said, I'm just getting the hell out of here. Hey, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Tune in Saturday, 10 a.m. for the next video. If I'm not feeling better by then, we can probably just have a quarantine and chill video. What y'all think about that? I ain't got COVID, but you know, if I'm still sick by then after this, it's gonna be